Good morning. It is 7:57 a.m. on Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I'm dragging myself out of slumber for another day. I watched the first of the holiday movies that Mike and I will be discussing in our next episode of Watching 100 Movies, which just reminds me I'm suddenly uncertain if I posted the podcast episode of the last one. I think I did. All right, well, I'm going to Google it here while you watch because that's the best use of this video's time. Yes. I did. I did. I posted it on the 17th. So, oh gosh, now that I've changed my screens around, there we go. Mike and I, our latest episode of Watching 100 Movies, we talked about sports movies, but then we chose holiday movies for our next theme. And in particular, we picked a pair of movies that seem to, like, to be Christmas to the core. Like, they are the most Christmas they could be. And we picked Miracle on 34th Street and A Christmas Story. And we're not, like, it's not verses, but we had decided to pair those with a pair of movies that are like they are Christmas movies in the sense that they take place at Christmas. There are Christmas aesthetics, but aren't necessarily about Christmas. In order to kind of just talk about a little bit like what makes something either a Christmas movie or not. And of course, Die Hard is one of those movies because we're talking about it in that context. It's so often brought up. It's like I'm certainly not going to disabuse anyone of the idea that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but the question becomes the question that is demanded from that initial, raised issue is what makes something either a Christmas movie or not. So we picked a couple, Die Hard and then Love Actually, which is really a romance movie. And it's about romance, but it does take place at Christmas. And there are lots of statements about what Christmas is or isn't about, but really it's about all of these interlocking relationships. So I watched Love Actually last night, and I'll confess that this is a movie that I've always resisted to some extent. I didn't recall really enjoying it that much on a previous viewing, and so uh, and I think I might have just been in a bad mood or something on that day because watching it last night, like I will say, it does not get to be on the list of one of my favorite movies. I won't say that I loved it, but it's fine. Like there's a handful of jokes that didn't age super well. I think that the power dynamics in a couple of the relationships are like, you know, there are some questions about like, I don't know about that one a little bit. Maybe the prime minister should just be grown up about his feelings instead of making a girl have to leave her job because he's into her. Um, but I don't know. That's as actually presented in the movie, it's one thing to talk about like, well, someone shouldn't get in a relationship with someone that they have, authority over, and like it's sexual harassment and everything. But like as actually presented in the movie, the specific scenario, the specific details of that exact situation, she's clearly into it, and he is. Yeah, well, okay, I don't want to get into that. The point being, like, but I guess part of what it is that I'm not sure exactly what the issue is as far as why my brain keeps trying to find reasons to not like it. that I'm not able to quite justify. Like, and I that my brain keeps sort of tying itself in knots. Like, you know, uh, it, the conversation kind of goes is like, well, I mean, it's not that good. It's kind of just cheating. It just assembles a large ensemble cast of likable, attractive actors and then gives them interesting scenes to do. And then the other side of my brain goes, why is that cheating? I mean, isn't that just called making a good movie? And it's like, well, okay, but like none of the individual stories are all that complicated. It's just that there's so many of them put together that it's just kind of like a bunch of really slight stories that wouldn't be satisfying, and you just mush them all together. And I'm like, yeah, but aren't they kind of really expertly interwoven together to produce an engaging tone over the course of the film, even across a dozen different stories? It's like, well, yeah, but so the point is, there's a lot to like about Love Actually, um, and I won't even say that I don't like it, but I will say that just there's still something about it that I haven't quite put my finger on that makes me feel like I'm looking for reasons to not like it, and I'm not sure where that's coming from. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's got a lot of charismatic, attractive actors getting to do emotional scenes, which is pretty good. So I'll leave it there, and I will talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.